Yeah, it's done. It's portal season, baby.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy portal season to all who celebrate. Montgomery radio legend Darrell Dapprich here, hanging out with me as the portal is officially open, Darrell. We'll preview Auburn basketball later in the day. But look, we don't know how quick all of this is going to happen. I mean, by the time this goes up at 7, does so much happen by 9 o'clock that, none of this conversation really matters? It's interesting, Darrell, because we talked about the speculation going into the offseason, going into December. And I mean, I guessed wrong. I thought it was going to be pretty quiet throughout the month of December. Obviously, it wasn't. We're anticipating record numbers of guys entering the portal today. But then it turns into, we're expecting a massive jump into the portal today. How quick do they get out of the portal today? Because we guessed wrong on that a year ago when the portal was earlier in December. And we were like a week into it. We were like, why is nobody committed to us? And then you look around, it's like, oh, well, nobody's committed anywhere. I think it's going to happen quickly, Darrell, but that's just a guess.
I do believe it's going to happen a lot quicker just because it's one portal season, one portal window. I think there's a lot of pent up movement that's going to happen. And I think, just to kind of recap what you said about this last week, think about it. Wrap your head around where we are in this world of college football, this world of busyness, this season of busyness. You have Christmas, you have New Year's Eve, you have New Year's Day, you have playoff games, and then you have the portal. I mean, that is pretty amazing within 8 days with everything that's going on and how busy it is. So because of the busyness, because of a window that opens up and it's just a crazy 8 days, I think you're going to see significant movement today. And I think it's going to come fast and furious.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of the names from South Florida tied to Auburn / Alex Golesh, probably more tied to Golesh than Auburn, but obviously he's the head coach. Do we see Byrum Brown commit to Auburn today?
I think so. If not today, by tomorrow. A lot of people like to make announcements on Saturdays for whatever reason because of the weekend. There's a buzz on a Saturday. We saw a lot on Sundays last year as well. So I would just say, to be safe, over the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would think that you're going to see Auburn get a lot of people coming back the other way from the portal and committing to Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see it. I mean, we're in uncharted waters here, but I mean, there are several USF names that seem to be pretty loud tied to Auburn. Byrum Brown, the most important. I mean, he plays quarterback, the most important for sure. Singleton, the USF Singleton, Keshaun Singleton, the wide receiver. I'm expecting him in the first few days of this window. And then the safety, is it Gaskin?
Gaskin, yeah.
Gaskin, the safety, which we've talked about him before. There's another defensive back that entered the portal that a lot of people were saying, hey, watch out for Auburn. His last name is Lee. Kind of played more of that nickel slot corner role. I'm just curious how quick all of this happens. And I think emotionally, I think it would be beneficial if you saw these former USF players eager to follow Alex Golesh as quick as possible, as soon as they possibly can, saying, no, we're staying with our coach. We're following him to the SEC. I think that would be good from a messaging standpoint. I don't know if it really matters as far as, the product on the field in 2026, if they were to do it today versus Tuesday or Wednesday, a few days from now. But as far as the messaging throughout the fan base, like I think Auburn fans are eager for a win, Darrell.
We talked about how winning the PR game and winning the podium and winning the press conference hasn't meant much to Auburn over the last 3 or 4 years. It wouldn't translate to proof of concept on the field. It would, however, from a optics standpoint, be big for Auburn. There's a lot of people, writers, beat writers, fans that are really, negative spin, panicking, talking about what's the message here before the guy's even had an opportunity to have his first spring practice. And I've said this all along. I'll wait to I'll reserve judgment until we see what happens. This weekend could go a long way as far as, perception and judgment. If Auburn starts to get guys jumping in the portal left and right, I'm sorry, in the portal, transferring to Auburn left and right, then yeah, I think it's going to be a completely different narrative for what's going forward.
Yeah. I mean, assuming that's the nature of what's about to happen, I'm with you, Darrell. I have a hard time seeing that not be the case because there's also this time limit of the logistics of you have to move your life wherever you are. You have to move across the country or across states, whatever it might be, to enroll in school in 10 days.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. When does classes start at Auburn? Is it not January 10th?
I think it's a tad later.
And then when do you have to register, when you have to enroll, when you have to find living arrangements, move into an apartment, dorm, house,
Auburn
whatever.
University spring 2026 semester starts on Wednesday, January 7th.
You're going to
see then with some stuff, you've got until the 5th day of class or whatever, which would be probably about a week later, maybe a little bit more. And as far as the registration, I'm assuming with student athletes, that's they would get that taken care of, right? So, but you've got it's the 2nd. So you've got the portal's open for 2 weeks, and that's about how much you have. Another element that's interesting to this is the only window where you can get into the portal. But my understanding of the rule, if you enter the portal and you don't find a home, which will be the case for a lot of guys, and you go through spring and you need depth in another spot, I do think you'll see some depth additions after spring.
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to happen.
But be clear, people cannot leave after spring. But if you're still just sitting in the portal.
If you're sitting in the portal and you're out there and you take your time as to where you want to go and all these slots get filled, there may be some schools that double down, double back and say, okay, I'll add you for depth. But I think core guys, I think first, second team guys, I think you're going to see movement within the next week on all those. And it's going to be
– you have to.
You have to. And it's going to be fast and furious, like I said before, and especially for Auburn, who lost a significant amount. They're going to have to get a significant amount coming back the other way to replace those.
I want to go position by position, and let's just take a guess and look at the numbers position by position on what we should expect, because I want to put in perspective the volume that we are about to see over the next 2 weeks. It's insane. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Darrell, FanDuel, they've got this thing every Friday. Because of course Fridays feel different during basketball season. FanDuel's making them even better. Every Friday night before the NBA games tip off, they've got NBA happy hour. They've got these set lines and different promotions there. And one thing that I thought was interesting, I was looking at some of the Auburn basketball lines on FanDuel. The lines for them to win the championship, the SEC regular season championship, haven't really moved. Auburn's still plus 2,500 to win the SEC championship. So take that for what it's worth. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app. See what's dropping on our NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA happy hour only on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy New Year to everyone. And of course, happy portal season to all of you, because all of you are celebrating that today. That's why you were watching this show. Let's go position by position, Darrell. Let's obviously start with quarterback. The only scholarship quarterback on this roster is Reese Brush. That's it. Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, Deuce Knight, all expected into the portal when it opens today. Probably already in it by the time y'all are watching this. Do you think the magic number continues to be 4, or due to circumstances, Darrell, are you okay if they just add Byrum, Brown, and some other portal backup in this situation?
Oh, I think you need to have 4.
Okay.
I think you'll have 2 guys probably pretty immediate. You'll see who your
quarterbacks immediately.
Yes, I think you'll see the starter emerge and probably the backup right away, and then you'll have 3 in the room, and then maybe that spring scenario you talked about is where you go get that 4th guy. Man, I would love this is a perfect scenario for Ashton Daniels to jump out of the portal and come back to Auburn. I would love to see that. Go get your starter, let Ashton come back and be your backup.
This doesn't seem like an Ashton Daniels decision. This seems like an Alex Golesh decision.
Yeah, that's why. That's what I was alluding to. But I'm just saying my wishes, my hopes would have been a guy that played 3-4 games for Auburn last year, coming back, learning Golesh's system. He's a leader. He's a great teammate. This would have been a great scenario. It doesn't look like it's going to play out that way. So more than likely, you'll see 2 guys come over the weekend, a starter, a backup. The scholarship quarterback you're talking about right now being your 3rd guy, and then Brush, and then you'll more than likely see a guy come in the spring so that you have 4 in the room.
At running back, you've held serve so far at the time of us having this discussion. Cobb, Robinson, Mapps, and Henderson all there. I am expecting them to add a running back. You and I disagreed on the caliber needed to be brought in, but I do think a running back will be brought in. Are you fine with 5 in an offense where we're anticipating them running the ball a little bit more? Or do you bring a guy in and then you look at the room and maybe you process a guy, maybe it causes a guy to leave?
I think what will happen, it's going to be a domino effect. I think a guy's coming in, and then as soon as that guy comes in, you'll see 1 go out at least. Yeah, I hope it's only 1. I would be very happy with, let's say, a Jaheim White from West Virginia to back up Jeremiah Cobb and Mapson. Those 3. I love Alvin Henderson. I love Darrell Robinson. If you could keep 5, that would be ideal. I don't know if that could happen, but I think you need a big 3. I think you need a 3-headed monster. And I think under that scenario that we just talked about, White, Cobb, Mapson, okay, then does Henderson stay? Does Darrell Robinson stay? Or does 1 leave and 1 stays and you've got your running back room? That's a scenario that I see.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, I feel fine. But if nothing happens, I still feel fine.
If nothing happens, I'm good. Yeah,
I don't think that'll happen. I think they'll add someone, but still, running back and linebacker are the 2 positions where I'm like, whatever happens, that's not a concern. Receiver, fascinating. Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, Horatio Field, Sam Turner, all expected to enter the portal when it opens today. So that leaves you with Singleton, Bryce King, Duke Smith, Eric Smith, and then you signed Deshaun Spencer, Brian Williams Jr., and Brady Marquise. So you've added 3, and you are expected to lose at least 5.
So then you better go get 2 or 3 in the portal.
Right. The Singleton from USF seems to be a likely scenario. And then you go get 1 more guy. Is that enough?
Does the Koger kid from USF enter the portal? Heard his name a lot.
If you're only adding 2 or 3 receivers in the portal, do you want 2 of them to be from USF?
Yes.
You're fine with it.
Both are really, really good. Both know the system.
Great.
Yes. Yep.
One of the more important ads, it's not the most important room, I don't think, but tight end, you lose Frazier and Tate to graduation. Hollis Davidson is gone. And then you sign DJ Broughton. So that leaves you with Preston Howard, Ryan G, DJ Broughton. Assuming no announcements happen, we haven't heard anything from those top 2 guys.
I'd like to go get a tight end.
I think you need 2.
I think you need at least one of the 2 to be a guy that you look at as a starter and as a guy that can catch multiple touchdowns for you and have 400 or 500 yards type tight end.
I would think that would be a super attractive pitch for this staff to go and get one of the more versatile, talented tight ends in the portal.
I'd love to see a guy like Rivaldo Fairweather, but even an upgrade from 2 or 3 years ago. Because remember, think about a Fairweather.
Or Preston Howard from Maryland.
Yeah, think about a guy like Fairweather in this offense last year. Yeah. If Auburn would have had that type of tight end as an outlet to throw to, I want a tight end that can get between the hashes that can go over the middle of the field, a guy that's tough in the red zone, they're out there too. They've jumped in the portal, 4 or 5 touchdown guys, that type of thing.
Offensive line, you have 6 scholarship guys returning. You signed 5 out of high school. You lost 9 from graduation eligibility. I'm counting Too Tall as one of the guys you lost because I haven't seen anything to say that he's staying yet. So despite the speculation, I'm counting Too Tall as a guy that we have lost. So this and the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. The number sounds ridiculous, but I think between O-line and D-line, like you may need 8 guys.
Well, I want to get your opinion on what you think we just need in the offensive line first. Just give me the offensive line number because I've got one in my head. I want to see if it's the same.
So of the returners, how many guys do you feel comfortable? I'm sorry, it's 5 guys. I counted Connor Liu. It's 5 guys. So of the returners, who do you feel comfortable saying, yes, he's a starter?
Well, first of all, I'm hearing that perhaps DeAndre Carter comes back to the team and jumps out of the portal.
I've heard that too. That'd be awesome.
So let's just assume that happens. Okay.
We're assuming DeAndre Carter's coming back.
Yes. If that happens, yes. If that happens, right. I say go.
Your returners are Tyler Johnson,
Uh-huh.
DeAndre Carter, Cale Ellis, Ty Buster, Jacoby Ward, and Brody Scholl.
Okay. I say you go get 4 offensive linemen in the portal.
That just seems low to me. I think you need more than that.
Well, if you said 8 between the two or 8 or 9 between the two, I think you basically split it. I think you get 4 offensive linemen and 4 defensive linemen in the portal. If DeAndre Carter comes back, I do. That's what I would look.
How many returning guys do you feel comfortable starting? 2.
So, give me the names again of the returners.
I'm throwing in, including DeAndre Carter.
I think Carter starts. Ellis
Yeah.
starts. Carter starts.
You feel comfortable with Tyler Johnson?
Yes.
Then the 3 redshirt freshmen, Brody Scholl, Ty Buster, Jacoby Ward.
So the 4 you get are maybe 2 tackles that could start if Johnston doesn't, and then 2 backups, 2 depth pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wonder, can a Wilson Zaire or a Bear McOrder, can they play as freshmen? If they're your 2 deep, I don't hate it. But we'll see. Defensive line, Malik Autry announced he's staying. Jordan Crawford, Darian Smith. Those are your 3 returning interior defensive linemen. That's crazy. And then Corey Wells and Tavion Branch were your freshmen that are coming in. And just for context, like you're bringing in 2 guys and you lost 7.
Go get 5. Yeah. I said 4. I think 5 defensive interior linemen are needed in the portal.
And then your edge guys, edge/strong side defensive end, you're bringing back, hopefully, Jared Smith, Joe Phillips, JJ Falk.
Mm-hmm.
You signed Chris Wells. I don't think he's going to play. I just don't. I don't think he has a path to playing time until maybe his junior year.
So 2, maybe 2 more edges.
Well, you're losing 5.
Yeah.
Keldrick, Kieran, Murray,
mm-hmm.
and then Amaris and Waller portaled.
Then you probably need at least 4.
That's insane.
It is insane.
Linebacker, you can do no wrong at linebacker. Defensive back, I think you need 2 corners.
Yep.
And a safety.
2 corners and a safety. Yep.
That would put you at less numbers than last year, but we'll see how they handle that. And then special teams, you're fine. You don't need to do anything there. So it's a lot.
Who's the punter?
Hudson.
You don't want to upgrade that? I do.
No, I'm fine with Hudson.
Okay, well, I want to upgrade it.
I kind of get the feeling he was doing what he was told. That guy can boom it. And he I think that was the plan.
I want competition. If he can boom it, then let's see if he can boom it by bringing somebody in to push him.
But I'm saying is I don't think he was being told to boom it in games. I think he was told to put it somewhere to get the coverage down there.
There is a kid, and there is a kid that I liked a lot that we signed who was that? That was like a walk-on.
McGuire, maybe?
Yeah. I liked him. I think he's a good punter. But competition, and I liked it. Obviously, the field goal game. I like the kicking game.
McPherson. I think Gibbs is staying too.
I do too. Yeah, to kick off deep. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy with all that. Happy with all that there. So I say all that to say the volume is going to be crazy. So get ready. Get ready. It could be a lot of shows, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pivot to Auburn basketball. An incredibly important game, and this game was not circled on the schedule going into it, but this one's a big one. This one's a big one. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Hey, speaking of this game, if you want to go to it, make the short trek over to Athens, Georgia. The best place to buy tickets is GameTime. You and I exclusively buy tickets on the GameTime app, and obviously there's nothing like being there. And if maybe it's your first time going to Athens for a basketball game or for any event, and you're like, gosh, I don't know where to get tickets. Their app is super easy to use as far as navigating the venue. You can get the view from your seat, so you know exactly what you're getting. I like how the way you say it, Darrell. You want to make sure you're not sitting behind a pole or a column. They've got zone deals. You pick the section, then GameTime will tell you like the best value for your buck in that section, which is great. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that is code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. You know, it's interesting. The past few seasons, there's always been one or two basketball teams that go into conference play with a tremendous record. And the question is like, okay, are they legit? Are they not? Who have they played? Who have they not? There's several. There's several going into this season. And ironically, there's more buzz about the teams who have not played that many good teams and have a better record than the teams who have played good teams. And they're only win like a game or two when it comes to win-loss record. It's fine. It'll all work itself out. Whatever. Georgia's in that boat. Eye test, like Georgia looks good. They look good. But there's questions on who they've played. Like when you look at Ken Pom and quad wins and all that stuff. I'm fascinated, Darrell. I'm fascinated to see how this game between Auburn and Georgia goes tomorrow.
Even when Georgia was coached by Tom Crean and they weren't that good, they gave Auburn fits. Remember, Chuba had to hit a 3 to beat Georgia in Georgia. The team that was rated number 1 by 1 at Georgia with Jabari and Walker Kessler. Mike White gives Auburn fits, whether he's at Florida or whether he's at Georgia for whatever reason. Now, maybe that he gave Bruce Pearl fits and not Stephen Pearl fits, we'll see. But let's look at Georgia. Let's break them down. They're 22 in the net. They're 12-1, and the only team in the top 40 in the net that they've played, they got beat by Clemson.
In overtime.
They do have some good, what I would consider good wins against Xavier, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, and Florida State. Nothing that's a world beater. I think Auburn's got better wins with St. John's and North Carolina State, and obviously Auburn's got a lot better losses on their resume.
Sure.
This game, to me, is going to be a reality check for Georgia. I think some of it's fool's gold. Do I think they're better than they were last year? Yes. Do I think Mike White's a good coach? Yes. But I think Auburn's played such a brutal non-conference schedule and is getting as healthy as they've been in a long, long time, evident of what happened the other night. Even though Queens University is not that great, Auburn's start was all about Auburn.
Yeah, and it looked like it should.
They were healthy.
That would have happened a week prior to that.
They're healthier. They're well rested. They're going into this game at the right time with the right frame of mind. Auburn 9-4, Georgia 12-1. I don't even know. We talked about how that line's going to turn out by the time they tip it off.
I think Georgia will be like a 2.5 point favorite,
which is good for Auburn. And I think there's a lot of people, Zach, that want to watch Auburn play basketball live that don't get an opportunity to, and Neville, that'll be over there in Athens with it being a short trip, and maybe buy up some tickets. So you'll hear some Auburn, pro Auburn crowd over there.
Yeah. Yeah. ESPN Analytics gives Georgia a 57.3% chance to win. And I think the line will slightly favor Georgia. And I get why Georgia is favored in this. I'm not pushing back on that, but I do think some of it, I mean, it's impossible to compare these teams when you look at record and what they've achieved, because it's like both of their paths are just so different. What would Georgia's record be with Auburn's schedule? I don't think they beat Houston. I don't think they beat Michigan. I don't think they beat St. John's, if I'm being honest with you. They don't beat Arizona. They don't beat Purdue.
Another thing, they beat North Carolina State, who's better than Clemson. North Carolina State won its opener against Wake Forest.
Has Oregon fallen apart? Because they were weren't they ranked when we played them?
No, they were not ranked when they played. They had one loss when we played them. But
oh my goodness, they lost to us. Their loss to us was their first of a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, we kind of
Did we break Oregon?
We broke them. Yeah.
Do you think Auburn wins?
Yes, I have Auburn win.
I think so too.
I think I have Auburn winning 81-77.
Higher scoring.
Both are very, very, very high scoring teams, both of them.
Yeah, which I think could favor Auburn. It's going to be matchup around the basket, and it's going to be like that every single game you play in the SEC. I don't think Georgia's superimposing around the rim.
The key is Blue is their best offensive player, and watch Overton on him. I think Overton has an opportunity to make him feel blue by the time the game's over.
There it is. I was thinking about something to say. You beat me to it.
Singing the blues. Yeah. Blue is a good shooter. But Overton, that's the kind of matchup if you're Auburn you want, because they're both basically the same size. I think Overton's obviously a little bit more physical. And then Tahad going off on a visiting floor, right? Playing in a tough
road game, Tahad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then does Overton keep the offense going that he's had? Does Elijah Freeman keep the offense going that we've just seen?
Jovic
between Tahad and Keshaun Hall.
I also have a sneaky suspicion that Jovic is going to make a difference in this game, be a difference maker.
Okay, we're going to need him in SEC play. We're going to need the size for sure. We'll need sway as well. I mean, we're going to need the size consistently throughout conference play. So we will be live. You're with me tomorrow, right?
I absolutely am. Yes.
Yeah. We'll be live right after the game. So be sure you're subscribed on audio and video. We'll drop it on audio soon as the live is over. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
I'm with you Wednesdays and Fridays right here on Locked on Auburn. Sunday nights, 8:00 Barncast with you and Kyle Rush. And then basketball season now, home games, I'll be there at Neville covering them. Road games live with you from somewhere, probably the confines of my home.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And look, I plan to go live as soon as any interesting portal stuff drops this weekend. So be ready, because I'll be ready. So please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.